one question, one tool, and one really good in-depth answer. And now we're going to get into it. I have gotten a question of the week. Someone had recently emailed and they had a question. And what better way to answer that question than to show you here so that you may be able to get to learn a little bit about how I respond to this person and it may be relevant to you. Pretty good, right? That's what I thought. So I want to get into the question. But first, what I want to do is speak specifically to any of you who may have a question about your own brand online or thoughts about digital marketing and maybe how you should be treating it or thinking about it a little bit differently in 2025. And if you do, you need to go to hello@bartoliconsulting.com and go ahead and answer your question or ask your question. I will answer it, and I may answer it here on this channel. So let's get right into the question of the week. So again, the question of the week, this was from an owner. I am keeping his name private because he has not given me permission. But I will share with you the question that he asked. He is the owner of a small seasonal business. It's a kayaking tours company. And for the past month, he's been studying SEO and he's wondering or debating if he should invest more time and resources to learn SEO as best as possible, to implement a strategy, or hire an agency, and they are expensive. And he's 100% correct. At least the ones worth anything are expensive. So you're absolutely right on that one. And it may not make sense in the early days right now, and I'll get to that. So what he's asking here is the problem is super seasonal, June through September, and he knows that getting high rankings would be 100% increase his bookings, which is ultimately what we're trying to do. And his key performance indicator of not rankings, but ultimately bookings is what he's absolutely right. And that's what he should be focused on. And if you are thinking rankings is the be all and end all, then I would say get out of 2005, because it really, when you think about digital marketing or search engine optimization, you should be thinking about how to convert those people into something that is revenue generating for your business. Since it's such a short time period, I don't know if it's wise for me to invest all that time and money for my website only to be searched for maybe 6 months out of the year, realistically only 4 months. My question right back to him is going to be, do you know for sure people are only searching for you in that short period of time? Do you think that maybe, and I would ask if you don't know specifically, definitely ask your next number of customers, when did they start researching or start thinking about booking that trip? Maybe it was January, when the start of the year, when people are thinking about the vacations over the course of the next 12 months. So they may not be thinking about kayaking in Montana in January, but they may be thinking about a kayaking trip they'd like to take in the summer. And maybe, just maybe, Montana is either in that list or not. And here's your way of getting in front of them to let them know that that is a great place to go kayak, not just Florida, where a lot of people are kayaking, but that they could go to some place like Montana. So one thing it gets him, though, is that there really is only one company in the area that consistently ranks for the same service, kayak tour company. Again, we're assuming people are searching for that, okay? So I feel like there's a lot of potential since most of the other companies don't invest in SEO either. Yes, 1000%, you are dead on right there where you are right. They are not investing in SEO. They don't know the potential, and you are correct. There is a tremendous amount of potential that you have. And I'm hopeful that if you can take anything away from this, it is some of these ideas that I give you will really help gain greater visibility and get you even more bookings. Now, he's asking, would it be wiser to learn pay-per-click, PPC? For those of you that don't know, PPC stands for pay-per-click. Pay-per-click is a form of paid advertising. that you see in Google ads, or if you're on Bing, we see sponsored ads there. He's asking about that. Or invest my time and money into another advertising method. And if you know me, I have been speaking to many business owners about understanding how to market your business online. And you can't think in terms of the ways that it has always been, that there's just one place people go, which is just Google, and it should just be Google organic or Google paid. So you're going to see in this video all the different ways that we should be exploring or thinking about how you should be marketing your small business. So here's my first thing that I did. I said, well, number one, I want to understand your Google business profile. So again, we're going to get to the website in a minute, but when we're talking about basic recommendations from an SEO standpoint, first I'm going to address all of the SEO stuff up front, and then we'll get to the question about the paid. First, let's talk about how are we really understanding exactly, how do we find this place? So if we just type in kayaking tours, I am based on the East Coast, so I'm not going to get anything from Montana. If anything, I'm going to get within the 50-mile radius or the states surrounding me. That's more than likely what I will get that'll show up in my search results. So I logged out of Google and I just typed in the state that he's in, that his touring company is in, with Montana kayak. And I could do Montana kayaking, kayak. And I can also see when I do that, the different types of other search queries that drop down. So people are interested in whether you need a permit or what the laws are when it comes to kayaking in the state of Montana, or in terms of registration. So these are the things you want to start making yourself more aware of, is what's actually going on when those people that may be in Google are looking. So I mentioned Google Business Profile. Here's something you should, and every small business owner should make the most use out of. I can see there are a ton of specifically Montana-based kayaking companies. And as I said, as somebody who's not familiar with the state, I would not have thought of Montana first when it comes to kayaking. I do love kayaking, but would not have considered something like Bozeman, Montana. So this is, or someplace like Montana and specifically, to go kayaking. So here's what I did do is I was looking specifically at who shows up. Now I didn't type in a city, so I know that you have specifically areas that you do cover, which is great. And so if someone is familiar with the state of Montana, is it near Billings or Bozeman? And you can see that I don't know if this company is actually in Bozeman, Montana, or if they're just leveraging that location to get up and be found for, associated with the location in the state. Possibly. They do have 24 5-star reviews. This one has 100 4.9-star reviews. So you want to make sure that you're amplifying, getting as many reviews as possible. There's 121 here. You have 21, which is awesome. I also liked that you answered your negative. You had one slightly negative review, and you did an outstanding job in answering that. And I think everybody would all be better off if you didn't anything beyond a 5. If you got a 4, 3, or 2, or 1 star, you should be answering whatever their concerns are. It just shows that you're a concerned business owner and you want everybody to have the best possible experience out of your company. So good for you. You answered that one person. So that was awesome. I also like that you have a lot of different photos here. That's always great. What I would do is, if there's a way to put a physical address, that would be great. Definitely you want to add your business hours. If someone does want to call, they need to know what time they should call or what days are you open, etc. So I would do things like that. Question and answers. This thing gets overlooked almost all the time. Here's a great place to put a question that you can ask as the business owner and the owner of the profile. You can also answer the question. So you ask and answer the question. Usually I would put 3 to 5. of the most frequently asked questions. Just put them in here. Can I book early? Let's just say, can I book in January for a trip I want to take in July? Yes, absolutely. You can just, here's a link to my booking page, whatever. Anytime you have a frequently asked question, definitely a great place to just put that here, ask and answer the question. And also, if you have any specials or events or anything, even if it's a local event in town, like in a local city or something that you might want to talk about or promote, you can totally do that in your Google business profile. So this is a Google property. Make the most use out of it. Optimize it as best you can by making sure that you are putting everything you possibly can in here. So that is what I would say with regards to your Google business profile. Next, I want to bring up your website. So here is your website. Oops, excuse me. Here's your website. Now, what I'm going to do is, and I'll show you in a minute where the comparison, very quickly, right out of the gate. I know a lot of templates have this home, but it really just dates the thing. And frankly, it's a waste of navigational space. Your logo should be clickable, hyperlinked, that takes you back to your homepage. Here's just one thing though. Once somebody comes to your homepage, ultimately you don't want them here for very long. You want to get them to where they should be. Ideally, your tours. But I can see you have, boom, right here. So it's almost like, why bother going anywhere else when I can see that the tours are right here and you got the book now. Now, where you have our services, because you're not a law firm or an accounting firm or anybody that provides a typical, quote unquote service, I would change that to kayaking tours. That's what this is. Navigationally, that should be kayaking tours, and you have your glass kayak illuminated and your Flathead Lake here. That would be great. If you offer any others, if there's any other group tours or anything else that you offer, definitely list them here as well. So then when you go here, you do a great job of having these photos here. I would even put a video if you could. That would be kind of cool. I like that you linked in with the TripAdvisor here with the reviews that shows there. And then, but as I said, if I go back to your homepage for just a minute, there should be, I would change it up a bit. And let me show you what that looks like. Here's a Montana River Guides. And so right out of the gate, I just see it's whitewater rafting, scenic trips, kayaking. So they offer a lot of different things that maybe you don't, and that's okay. But what they're doing is they're giving you other places to go. There's other content, more other content here. They have the best whitewater rafting in Missoula and book now. And when I'll talk to you in a minute about internal linking, I don't necessarily love all of this content, and it's kind of smallish, so don't look at that. But really what I'm looking at specifically is these things. When they're talking about Blackfoot River, they actually have a link to a page inside their website. This one here, whitewater rafting here, Missoula, Montana there. It does kind of seem like a lot, as you can see here. The benefit here is that if somebody is reading this and they wanted to understand more about riverboarding, there's a blog post that really talks about that here, and they can go and consume that content. The other thing is it does help a search engine or a large language model crawl and understand specifically the relationship between that piece of content on the homepage there and this specific piece of content talking about riverboarding in Missoula. So it allows for more visibility into your company and what you offer. So those are the things I wanted to bring up just immediately. It's just maybe you want to change up that navigation and include kayaking tours. Making sure the call to action is there, and put a featured video. Anything that would be inspiring or interesting, and get people to want to learn more and potentially book with you. And also I would include what are people saying? I think it's always good to understand anybody that has recently taken a trip, and they've spent some time and money with your company, through a kayaking tour, you want to capture people's excitement and interest that have maybe just came right out of the water, and they're very excited. You can ask permission, and I would totally ask permission, of course, if you could have them featured, have like a featured video of the week or of the month of some group that maybe just came from kayaking. They had an amazing trip, and maybe it was a sorority. And so they're like, this was the most fun we ever had. We'd like to do different trips. We're definitely going to do this again. It gives people other ideas than just a maybe traditional family vacation, for example. When it comes to the content in your website, you do not have nearly enough content in this website. Now, I don't mean just putting thousands of pages of kayaking stuff in here just to have it. You should have a clear, coherent content strategy, something that differentiates you or makes you stand out as a subject matter expert on the topic of kayaking in Montana. And specifically, like illuminated sunset tours. I didn't know that was a thing, but that's easily something you could become the expert on, and be found for. So you need to have a more cohesive, specific content strategy. What I did here was I like to use what's a hub and spoke is more the traditional way of creating a content strategy. And so it basically means the hub is that big piece of content that emphasizes a broader topic. So let's say self-guided versus guided kayaking tours, pretty broad topic. You can and should develop it out into your point of view, your professional point of view on both of those. And maybe something in there as a spoke or those subtopics that are related and interlinked are like how to choose a kayaking tour company, places a novice should try self-guided kayaking. These are just topics that I just came up with. But what I did here was I went to ChatGPT and, oh shoot, I didn't get it. I typed in, what I did was I went into ChatGPT. Now, I'm not logged in. So if I were to log in, I am using the paid version. Usually I'll use the paid version. But I'm just showing you even the free version. I'm not even logged in. I just said, I want you to create a hub and spoke on self-guided versus guided kayaking tours, create a content strategy. This is for a kayaking tours company based in Montana, okay? So the hub page is the central resource. It will act as the cornerstone of your content strategy. So it's giving you a little bit of an education on what the hub and spoke strategy is. Here is the hub piece. The hub piece of content is an intro to kayaking in Montana, self-guided versus guided kayaking overview, and a quick comparison table. Excellent. Excellent different way to differentiate yourself. The spokes, as I mentioned before, are supporting pages. They're more deep dives into the specific topics. Here is how to plan your self-guided kayaking adventure in Montana, the best self-guided kayaking routes in Montana, what you need to know about safety and navigation. And these are things that even if AI could answer them, it should be pulling the content from you, you as a subject matter expert on kayaking, specifically self-guided or safety or whatever the topic is that you're writing about. And if you do like a Meet Your Guides, this is where you feature a profile of if it's you or anybody else in your company that works as a guide. You can easily do that. Guided tour routes and itineraries, what's included, etc. And then, so there's just a whole bunch of stuff here. This is the smartest content strategy method that you can build up related content so that you become the topical authority in your space. So, and I will email you this as well so you get a picture of that. Otherwise, just go to ChatGPT, pop in the same thing, and you will get that similar answer as well. So that's it. One, you don't have enough content. You definitely want to deploy some content strategy here so that you can be hyper competitive with any other tour company around you. You also want to, as I mentioned, I looked at one of this competitor, but I would look at some of the larger, maybe not down the street necessarily competitors, but they could be much bigger kayaking tour companies in the country, and see what they're doing. Learn from those that are much bigger. What do they have that maybe you could leverage in your site to make it a bit more popular or more interesting from a content standpoint? You could have a loyalty program if that makes sense for your within your company. So I like to, as I say, I like to leverage other bigger national brands. And you don't necessarily, I'm not asking you necessarily to copy what they're doing, but they've spent millions and millions of dollars on marketing and conversion rate optimization and A/B testing. It would benefit you to just kind of see what they're doing, even how they title their call to action, if it's book now or book today or whatever it is they're doing. Take some of what they're doing as ideas and maybe direction in terms of which way you should go. Next, we want to really focus in on your audience. This is where everybody seems to skip a step. They focus on the maybe male 45 to 55 who lives in Montana. We need to think much bigger and broader than that. We need to think beyond just demographic basic information. What we want to understand is what websites do people looking for kayaking tours actually visit? And what social media platforms are they visiting and spending their time on? We may assume that they're spending all of their search time on Google when in fact maybe they're inside some other platform like Quora or Reddit. So we're going to use the one tool that I like to use right now to just get a real good understanding of my audience. And it's not Ahrefs or SEMrush or any other SEO tool. It is Sparktoro. So I have mentioned this tool a number of times in the past, but it really does a real great job of really helping me understand more specifically about an audience that I might not be that familiar with. So right now, I just looked for kayaking tours as the search keyword. This is just in the US, okay? So we can see roughly 4,000 to 5,000 people searching for kayaking tours. And this website is leveraging a bunch of different resources. Datos is one of them, LinkedIn profiles. We can see the social profiles of people searching for that search query and what websites they're going to, what other things are they searching for. And yes, some of the demographics. So the majority, 63% roughly, are male, and they're going to these other websites here. Okay, so it's important to understand that there's definitely some Alaska overlap here. Helicopter tour in Juneau, Alaska. Here's alaska.org. Get Up and Go Kayaking is one that is mentioned as well. And then I went to go check out, what about kayaking tours in Montana? Okay, let me go up here. Not a ton. See, slightly less than 100 on average. So makes sense because maybe people aren't thinking of kayaking and Montana at the same time as much as they are when they think about Florida, Alaska, or even Hawaii. So what we have to think about is those people that are searching for kayaking tours in Montana, well, they're looking for adventures in Missoula, kayaking excursions. Now, this is pretty broad, but, kayaking in Bradenton. So it gets specific, and we can start learning a little bit more. We can also see the types of websites that they're visiting. And I'm going to show you in a minute where this is advantageous to really understand. But we want to see, how are they actually searching? What other AI tools are they using? There's a slight decline, and I've seen this in a lot of my clients recently, where Google.com is not necessarily the first or only place, and it has definitely dropped a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, the audience affinity is pretty high. So they are certainly using Google for sure. Don't mistake this decline to mean that they're not. They are. The US average is about 99 out of 100, and so it's 1% off. Again, they're using Google. They're using Amazon, but look what else they're using. They're really using Reddit a lot, and they're also using ChatGPT. 27% more than the U.S. average population. So you want to really understand, how is your brand really getting found, or is it even found or known in specifically in any LLM, ChatGPT, or any of the others. And the best way to do that is just asking it what types of kayaking tours in Montana could it refer you to, because it is leveraging that search data from Bing. So you can see there's a decline in Bing. However, Bing is fueling the search for ChatGPT. So you want to get found in ChatGPT. You want to understand your name, your business, and what it is that you do. Ask it what it knows about you, and stay logged out or use a different browser that you don't always use. So that's one of the things I wanted to share with you, as well as the different relevant topics that people might be interested in that are also searching for kayaking tours in Montana. There's a much more heavier emphasis on the kayaking tours in national parks. These are topics that they're interested in, and just the way to read this is the saturation means that there's pretty decent level of content on the internet. What I like to do is go to something that maybe is not as saturated, something like 60 or less here, but there's a high interest for people looking for essential gear for glacier hiking. Now, obviously, that's nothing to do with kayaking, but you get the point. Top resorts for outdoor enthusiasts. Okay. Planning for vacations. Now, I know this is very focused on Alaska, but adventurous road trips through Montana might be some interest. And I think you also had something in your website where you were mentioning different excursions, which was great, by the way. Really good job of outlining all of that, which I saw in this blog post here. Activities you must try in Whitefish. This is really good because you're focused on the location and activities and making it more like a guide. I like the image here, and here's where you're emphasizing that it is a 2025 travel guide. Great imagery, great use of headlines and trip details, pricing. So this is, by the way, a really good job in terms of blog post. What I did not see in here, and there may not necessarily be an opportunity to, but an internal link to something else, another piece of your content. So, as I said, get a lot of topics, get a lot of research, get a lot of understanding in terms of content ideas and things that would be of interest to your ideal audience that we know that they're actually looking for, understanding the websites that they're searching on, where do these people where are they going? And I'm going to get to in 1 second exactly the experience that is Google. When I open up a browser in Google, for example, and I'm going to pull one up, the best thing you can do is just open up Google in a different browser, do not sign in, and then this is all I did was I just typed kayaking tours in Montana, and the first thing that comes up is not a paid search ad. So to answer your question about whether it would make sense for a traditional Google paid search ad, I would say no, because I do not see them here. And even TripAdvisor is not paying for an ad here. So that kind of gives me the reason why I would steer clear of a traditional Google ad. I would still focus 100% on organic, because all of this is organic with the exception of maybe this. So this is sort of like a featured activities and tours area here. And it basically, just to kind of pull it up, just to show you that it's activities and tours that are related to the search query that I typed in. But you can see none of this, and you were right before to say that nobody's really investing in SEO. It doesn't take an advanced degree in SEO to figure out how to really get found here. Focusing on what people are looking for, using some of the people also ask, but also more importantly, really coming up with that hub and spoke or that specifically network of content like that I talked about and that I showed you, that would be a better use of your time, as well as the Google Business Profile. So that is all. And also by doing something like that, it will show you what people are actually looking for. And I would also going back to Sparktoro for just a second, we can see that people, what they're actually searching for and what they're looking for. And you can kind of see, take this sort of search query, pop that into Google, and actually see what comes up. Because I would venture to say that would be far more interesting to somebody who might be more interested in looking for something closer as an adventure, kayaking in Montana. The other thing I wanted to pull up here too is just to show you the social media is not maybe what you were thinking. And I'll just show you here really quickly. People that are searching for kayaking tours in Montana, when people are searching for this, this tool, the Sparktoro, the platform, is able to see the social profiles and where are they spending the majority of their time. It's LinkedIn, it's Reddit, and I did notice that Quora is also potentially one of those. You can see all the social networks there, but you can kind of see between Facebook, Instagram, and Reddit. This is really where I would spend my time more specifically in a Reddit forum. And I can kind of go down here and show you, here's some YouTube channels that they're likely to spend time on, and also some podcasts. And also, here are the subreddits. So not surprising, hiking, outdoors, travel, camping, anything related to that. I'm sure that there's even, specifically outdoors is a good one, fishing, kayak, for kayak and canoe enthusiasts. I would definitely be spending some time in here, not to sell yourself, but to be the subject matter expert in the space. So if anybody has any questions about kayaking and trying to get into it, especially whether they're in Montana or not, is not a matter of relevancy here so much as it is you become the topical authority in that conversation, in that space. So that's what I would definitely be spending my time on. If I spent any kind of paid search at all, I would be focused on maybe learning Facebook, Instagram, so social spend there on those platforms. And I would definitely look at trying to acquire an audience that was interested in adventures in Montana or kayaking tours. So between Facebook and Instagram, that would be a better place to learn or test out some ads. And maybe as you get closer to your high season to start there. But that focus all throughout the year should be on organic. Also, YouTube. You should definitely, if you don't already have a YouTube channel, definitely invest in some time by having some videos. What kind of cool thing is just slapping a GoPro on your helmet and then going kayaking? And it could be some of the tours that you take. It could be even user-generated content. So if it's somebody on a tour that has a GoPro and you could ask to have their video and make that a featured video of the month or something, either in your YouTube channel or also on your website. So there's no shortage of content ideas and things that you can do to kind of stand out from some of your local different other competitors, for example. So one of the questions that I did have for you too in terms of dealing with the super seasonal nature is to learn when are they starting their search for the kayaking trip. I would ask them directly, those that are booking a trip in June, July, and through September, when did they start? Maybe they started in January at the beginning of the year because that's when they decided to book all the trips for the whole year. So I would not assume that they're looking only in those months that are high season. I would look at when are they planning those trips. That's when they're doing their research. So that is why organic search is beneficial throughout the year. As I mentioned, Reddit is definitely, if you're not there, I would definitely spend some time there. As I mentioned, Instagram and Facebook is where you want to spend time building up your brand and seeing if you can't maybe work with some micro influencers. These are people that are not as big as Mr. Beast is, but even though they have a smaller audience, they are typically, they have an engaged audience, and they're talking about things that are very relevant to your touring company. So then I would also, if one thing I did notice too was that LinkedIn had a pretty high. I noticed the people that are here are also using LinkedIn a lot, and so what I was thinking is like 10%. So if you had any interest at all in working with a company that wanted to do an offsite team building exercise, that might be an opportunity to explore. Otherwise, pretty much Facebook, Instagram, Quora, Reddit, those are the places where your people are most. As I mentioned before, if I did any paid search at all, it would be on those Instagram and Facebook. And Ben Heath in YouTube is someone I would follow or maybe even subscribe to his channel. You could ask him questions directly in his channel. He's based in the UK, but a lot of what he has is very relevant. It's smart, best practices that should help you steering you in the right direction in terms of both organic but also specifically paid social. You should be getting most, if not all, of your traffic from organic search. Just because you're not getting a tremendous amount now does not mean that you can't in the next 6 months. So try to leverage as much of it as you can through outside other sources like Reddit and YouTube, but you should be really focused in on building out that content. And also, as a side note, there's only two places that we can leverage where the algorithm does not play a force, and that is your email list and your website. Those two places you should be focusing all of your time and attention on, or as much of that attention and time as you can, because those are your platforms that you own. Having an email list, and especially from people who have gone on and taken a kayaking tour through your company, you want to maybe try and reach out to them. They may have friends and family who you could refer to by just simply forwarding that. Someone could get that email from you about a special upcoming tour in June, and that could easily be forwarded on to another family or friend that people who have already said good things about you. So you want to build your email list up. You really want to try and reach them and get them to book again in the future. Also, you want to look at, so I was thinking about, again, in Sparktoro, I can see the different websites people go to for specifically kayaking tours in Montana. And I found several of these, specifically this website here, that had a lot of really interesting information. One of the things that I happened to notice about it was because first of all, they have what to do in different times of the year. And in spring, it looks like, well, there's fishing here, but there's also kayaking, which I think it was here, or I can't find it now really quickly. But anyway, it things to do in the water. Here it is. So things to do in the water, and here's kayaking, fishing, canoeing, boating, etc., right? Here's a whole section on kayaking. So wouldn't that be cool if you could just be listed here? They have like a whole featured listing. So I'm assuming this is paid, but I would definitely get in touch with this kind of a website here. This is where the people that are looking for you are. So what better place than to be here and to focus your attention here? They also have the ability to write guest posts. So you might want to write for them about being an expert in kayaking in Montana. What better place than to have your content here? And I actually found that somebody had written a blog post on their kayaking tour, and they cited certain examples or whatever. But there's an opportunity for you to post in your author bio and a link back to your website. So that is what I would mention in terms of sponsored result and or building content over on those other websites where you know your audience is searching. Hopefully you found this helpful and useful, and hopefully anyone else out there that has a similar situation, don't always think in terms of where does everybody else search. Again, Google search, most people did between 1998 and 2024. Now they're on Google search, they're in ChatGPT, they're in YouTube, Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram. This is where people are searching. This is how you should be diversifying your ability to optimize your content in other spaces around the internet. But again, as I mentioned in this video, thinking about your audience first is the most important thing. Do not forget about who they are, but where they are spending their time in other websites. Thanks. Hopefully, if you got anything out of this, please like this video, comment below. If you want me to answer any question, just simply email me hello@bartoliconsulting.com, and maybe I'll create a feature video like this for you.